One thing we haven't also spoken about is Zuru Tech. You actually have 3 business divisions. Do you mind quickly giving me the thesis for Zuru Tech? What are you ultimately trying to achieve?
So this is my brother's baby, Matt. He's very, very smart engineering-wise, and I think we just looked at, I think it's like, Greg Foran said this to me once, it's like you got to wrap your business in like a bigger purpose. And I feel like we've built such a profitable toy business, such a profitable like consumer goods business. And at some point, it's like, okay, how do I solve a bigger problem, actually like shape Zuru and make or create a bigger purpose for the business? And how do we solve a much, much, much bigger kind of global problem? And the thesis was that construction and property development, it's the biggest part of global GDP, but it's been done the same for hundreds and hundreds of years. No one's really thought about it from first principles and said, okay, what are the costs of raw materials that go into a building? And then what's the final cost? Elon Musk calls it the idiot index. He used to look at the cost of a rocket and he'd calculate the cost of the raw materials versus the final cost and say, that idiot index is really high. And so it's much the same with a building. The cost of the raw materials out of the ground versus the final cost is a really wide delta. And so the thesis was, could we completely re-innovate the way that you build a building? So that's a nice thesis to have, but that's a very difficult thesis to execute against. So we're building the world's first factory that has a fully customized input, but a fully automated output. A building is a good product class to test that on because you have few materials. So you have few variables in the materials, but the way in which you're manufacturing those materials is changing a lot. So customized input with Dreamcatcher, which is our software. So we've built our software on Unreal Engine. A lot of traditional architecture software has been around for decades and it's built on really old technology stacks. And we acquired a company in Italy, 2 sons, both their parents were architects. They were both architects. And they were looking at the speed in which gaming engines were developing. If you think about a game 20 years ago versus a game today and the difference. And they said, why don't we build an architectural software on Unreal Engine, on this gaming tech? That's what they did. We acquired that software years ago, and they're sort of building out Dreamcatcher. The way I would describe Dreamcatcher is it's incredibly intuitive software. So the user interface is really simple. An 8-year-old could design a house on there. We've built our own AI model into it called Quera, so you can talk to it, you can design your house, you can furnish it just by literally talking to it. But it's Dreamcatcher has sort of this very, it's sort of, I would describe it like an iceberg. The UI, the user interface, very simple at the top, but then under that, the logic layer, the coding layer is incredibly complex. We've cataloged every building code in the world, so you can drop a pin in any location in the world and it automatically does all of the building code. So when you're designing your house in Dreamcatcher, it's working everything out in front of you. It works out all the MEP, the mechanical, the electrician, the plumbing. It works out where the sun's coming from. It works out the temperatures in that location where you've dropped the pin, how many HVAC units you need. The software does everything for you. And then that software translates every part into our factory, and the factory builds every part uniquely. It is all finished on production lines, everything, plumbing, lighting, finishes, plugs, lights, and it ships and it's crammed together and like put together on site. So the only part that gets done on the site is the slab. And the model or the thesis really is can we make that idiot index delta a lot tighter? So from the cost of the raw materials to the finished product at a price that is kind of unimaginable to someone today at a quality that is also unimaginable. So we did it in multiple parts. So first we built the software, then we built the factory in a 1/5 scale. So imagine it's building a wall 1/5 in every dimension. So it's building like quite a small little house, but we're testing how the software interacts with the hardware and then tweaking a lot on both sides. And then from there we built a full-size test factory, which is 3.5 hectares, and it's a full-size production line. And off that, we're building a new house every sort of 1 to 2 weeks right now, but testing that we tweak a lot on the hardware, we tweak a lot on the software. And then we purchased a building which is 25 acres, one building, and that's where the first commercial part of the factory has been built.
Where's
right
that
now.
in China?
So all that is in China. And then the software side, we have 2 offices in in Italy, Modena and Milan. And they are working on Dreamcatcher on the software side, and they play back into our 3 offices in India, Pune, Calcutta, and Ahmedabad, which are also working on the back end of the software, a lot of the rendering and graphics, which is really amazing when you see the rendering graphics and the software today, like how detailed and accurate and how visual it is like nothing that's sort of been done before. So it's a really big problem to solve, and it is very, very, very hard to solve. If you came into, we have our annual office awards every year. So International has one, India has one, China has one. It's broken into 3 awards, and we have what's called our legends. So we have like 8 legends from International, and every year those legends get to go on a tour of like all our China facilities. And I think every year the highlight for all of them is going to the housing factory. It kind of blows everyone's minds. So every person comes back and it's just like, Zuru Tech, wow, that's kind of crazy. So yeah, so this is like, what is our legacy going to be? I think like when you look back in 20 years, all of these things we're doing, whilst we're going to continue to try and be the best in the world at them and create great businesses and continually improve, I think they are all in some ways maybe stepping stones to a much bigger like objective.
Part 2, we'll have to go and film.
Yeah.
That factory in China, that'd be insane.
Pretty cool.
A lot of people must look up to you in business. I mean, I certainly do. I think what you and your family have achieved is absolutely incredible. Who do you look up to in business though? Who's your inspiration?
Different people, probably for different reasons. We never had mentors or anything. We were stuck in China, but I think different people for different reasons. Like even going back in time, like I look at Ray Kroc with McDonald's. I thought his story was so great because he was so persistent. Like he was just relentless in his approach. It's one of my favorite movies, The Founder. And so I look at him and I think that was an incredible story. I look at Nike and Phil Knight and I think that was an incredible story. But today we look at Elon Musk and how he builds everything from first principles, and just the scale and scope and the amount of projects he's across, and the way he builds talent and the way he builds a culture of excellence. Like we look at that and admire that. But we take bits and insights from every company. For example, Amazon. We stole the Amazon hiring loop from them because we think that's a great way and a great way to hire talent and get the right talent into your business. So I think it's a wide remit of people for different reasons. And I mean, there's so many brilliant entrepreneurs out there. I think, yeah, I mean, all the classics as well, right? Like the simplicity of Apple and how they build their business simply. I always say like management is about dealing with daily issues and daily complexity, and leadership is about creating simplicity because simple scales. And so we take parts from all these different like companies and insights all the time and try and inject them into our business and into our DNA, and all with the mindset of continuous improvement. We say at Zuru, we want to improve 2% every week, and you can't measure that. The only way to measure that is to look back in time, look at yourself 2 years ago and say, how much has this company improved?
You know if you're not improving.
Correct.
You know if you're not doing it.
And we take big leaps every year. So I always say to the team, we suck now, we suck today compared to where we are in the future.
You tell your team they suck? That's
yeah,
ruthless.
I'm like, we suck today compared to where we are in the future. And so we want to be able to look back on today and be like, we weren't that good. And so I think that mindset of continually learning and getting insights and improving is like critical to everything. And I always think, yeah, the people that have the most to, the people that like have the most to teach are often the people that want to learn the most, I think, as well. So I think you always have to have that mindset of continuous learning and continuous actionable, I always call them actionable insights, finding actionable insights all the time. And they can come from anywhere, from inspiration, from people, from looking at companies and what they do better, from looking at your competitors, from just learning something from a casual conversation. So I think it's that mindset of continuous improvement.
Or from reading, favorite books?
Yeah, I think I have like a couple of favorite books, like over time, which I feel like shaped like a lot of our thinking. I certainly think Good to Great was a book that like had a big impact on me, like super early on. Just things like from the hedgehog concept to like the level 5 leader to firing bullets before cannonballs, like a lot of that. I read that and it like really spoke to me because I like saw a lot of that playing out in our business as well. And so the accuracy of that I think was great. I also think a book that had a big influence on me when I was early on was And it's a simple book, and it's an obvious book, and you read it, and it's nothing like groundbreaking, but how to win friends and influence people. Like my dad always said, nothing in business happens until you sell something. And it's kind of true, right? Like,
he has a good point there.
and entrepreneurship, a lot of it is actually selling talent on your vision, or selling customers, or selling people on your ideas, or bringing a team together. And so I think that book had like a big impact on me as well. And there's like lots of books I think over time, but I think those two in particular had a big impact. And you start to learn that the team you build effectively is the company you build, and a team isn't really just a group of people that work together. A team's like a group that really like trusts each other to be the best at like what they do. And so we're always saying we want to find the people that are best in the world at what they do. And if they're not best in the world, is there a pathway to like improve to become the best in the world at what you do? And I think, yeah, those mindsets, all those little things you learn, you pick up like over time.
I'm gonna pause 1 second. Did I have paranoia that I didn't hit record on something? We're good.
We're good?
Only the paranoid survive, Nick Mowbray.
That is true.
All right.
Only the paranoid survive, it's true. But I think every entrepreneur is paranoid. Every great entrepreneur is paranoid and competitive and is obsessed.
Obsession, for sure.
I think obsession is a big thing. I think you have to be really great, you have to be truly obsessed. Otherwise you can't be the best in the world at it. You have to be truly obsessed.
If you don't mind me bringing it up, and tell me if you don't want to talk about it, but you've had some health challenges in your life. You happy to talk about that?
Sure, yeah.
What are your life non-negotiables, given the challenges that you've had that have probably made you slow down in some periods of your life?
My life non-negotiables.
Like a morning routine or something that you have to do every day.
I'm not
or
very
every
good with
week.
routine. I'm a little bit ADHD.
I know what that feels like.
And so I'm not super routine, but I like certainly try and do the basics really well. Like get good sleep, eat well, exercise. I feel like I do those three things like really well now. And that's definitely a change from like the past. But I feel like if I can do the basics at least like at that level well, then I'm going to be okay. But yeah, certainly I've had like health challenges, which are just at some level unlucky, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so they are what they are. You just deal with them. You're effectively dealt the hand of cards that you're dealt, and then you deal with it and you do the best you can. But certainly periods have been, particularly when I was in probably the last like 2 years in China, when my Crohn's kind of was like okay, and then I went downhill like really fast.
Wow. Do you know what caused that?
Year. I had Crohn's when I was like 27, and I probably like ignored it a little bit, and then I was okay. But then in 1 year, I went to like skin and bones. I went to 66 kgs, lost all my hair, so I was completely bald. And there's some photos online somewhere, you can still see them. It looked like I had cancer. Most people I think thought I had cancer. But yeah, I went really downhill, and then I had surgery to remove my large intestine. So I don't have a large bowel.
You only have a small one?
I have a small bowel. Yeah. They make a new one out of your small bowel, so they stretch it out, like turn it around, make a new bowel out of your large intestine. So yeah, I had it all removed. Otherwise, yeah. And then I've had a few instances, since then. But
You've kind of been good since that surgery, though. Fingers crossed.
I had one where I was in hospital for a couple of months, but other than that, it was one other like major scare. I was probably pushing a little bit hard, and my body didn't like that. So yeah, so there's like periods where it's not like I always say it's a form of stress, but it's more like excitement. Like you get too excited about what you're doing, and you keep like pushing and like doing something because you're like excited about it, which I think is a form of stress on your body as well. So it's not a stress like I'm
your body
stressed out about
metabolizes that as cortisol and stress.
Exactly,
Even if you
it's
don't
like
feel
cortisol,
stress.
but you're like really into something. So I feel like sometimes when I'm like pushing too hard and for too long, then my body tells me. So yeah.
Tells you, Nick, chill out, please. Yeah. You're a dad now. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How's that changed your life?
It's been great. Like it's funny because I probably like always kick the can a little bit. I was always like, that's going to like really slow me down, and like, do I really want to have kids, or do I like wait till later in life? But I can honestly say it's the coolest thing it's like you have like kids in your life. Like I have lots of nieces and nephews, and you love your nieces and nephews, and they're great. But I think there's no like feeling like your own like your own kid. Like it's
Your own
definitely
offspring.
chemical, right? Like you're like obsessed with them. So it's been super cool. Yeah, like super cool. Like way better than I ever imagined. It gives you a new sense of, definitely like a new sense of purpose. Also like a sense of stress because you're like, you've never loved something that much. And you're like,
You
don't
want it to be
anything,
okay.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
want anything to happen to her. So that's kind of like a weird thing to deal with because you're like, so like, you know, like even when she's upset, you like feel that like in yourself. So it's certainly a feeling that is a little bit indescribable, really, I think. So yeah, super happy. I should have done it earlier is my like synopsis of it.
You still got time to have more.
Yeah.
No pressure.
I'm old now.
Hey, thank you so much for this conversation. I really appreciate it. This was good fun.
No worries, great.
Thanks for watching Markets with Madison. If you enjoyed this interview, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. I do all of the research for these episodes myself, so your support means a lot. I always love to hear your feedback and ideas, so please drop any thoughts in the comments below. Now go put your money to work.